is it's August 31st, end of the month, and today marks your very first day of your virtual experience if you are one of my week A people. So if you're watching this means that you've already done today's Fantastic Five. If you have not done today's Fantastic Five, stop the video, go back to the announcement, and make sure you're doing the to-do list in order, because you've got to do that Fantastic Five before you watch this. Otherwise, there's no real point of having this video. The point of this video is once you have completed your 5 questions, you might have some questions that you want answered, or you might have no idea how to solve a question. That's what we're going to do with these videos. So every single day, I'll go over the 5 questions that you had, and the goal is to hopefully take what you learn from these videos to help improve your score, because by the time we get to Friday, you guys know the deal. We did it in class last week. We want to try to get 5s. So these videos are going to be helpful with that. I think you're going to realize pretty quickly that we're turning up the heat on these Fantastic Fives a little bit. Last week, we kind of eased in. This week, complete opposite. This week, I threw stuff at you that you haven't learned yet. And really, you shouldn't know it yet. So if you're getting a 0 or a 1 or a 2, I warned you that that was going to happen last week. So it doesn't matter what you got today. It matters that you watch this video, figure out where you went wrong, and use these videos to help you improve, because the only day that matters is Friday. So if you got a 0 today, try to get a 1 tomorrow, or obviously try to get a 1 or a 2. Anything better than that, we'll take it. So our ultimate goal, we know, is to get to that 5 by Friday. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to bring in my special guest. It's me. We're going to kick this one out. See you later. Share the screen. I'm getting the hang of this. All right. We're going to start with number 1. And I think you kind of have an advantage having this video, because you can press pause at any time you want. You can rewind anytime you want. You can watch it as many times as you want. So I told you to bring home that Math Fantastic 5 notebook. Even if you don't have it, get some paper. Take notes if you need to, because there's a lot of key words, or there's a lot of vocabulary in these questions that you haven't heard yet, where if you have the definition, maybe you can look back on it tomorrow. And I always tell you, if you're in class, you've got the option to use your notes or previous day's work to help you with the current day's work. So if you're looking at number 1, it says, which of the following numbers is not a multiple of 6? So we haven't talked about multiples yet, but that's something we're going to get into in the next week or so. Basically, a multiple is if you're taking a number, and in this case it's 6. I can take 6 and I can multiply it times something, and whatever that product is a multiple of 6. Essentially, I'm saying I can count by 6s, and every number that I land on is a multiple of 6. So the very first number is going to be 6, because if you did 6 times 1, you would get 6. So let me annotate here. So my very first multiple of 6 is going to be 6. This gets really, really easy once you've got your multiplication facts down. Like if you know 6 times something can give you one of these answer choices, you can eliminate it because it is a multiple of 6. If you don't know your multiplication facts, you have to literally list them out, and sometimes that's just the way it's going to go. So 6 times 1 gave me 6. The next multiple of 6 would be, I can either skip count by 6s, or I can do 6 times 2. My next multiple would be 12. So looking at my answer choices, haven't landed on anything yet. To get my next multiple of 6, I can either count by 6s, or I can do 6 times 3, which would give me 18. Now, use your answer choices, because if you look over at your answer choices, 18 is an answer choice. Okay, 18 is a multiple of 6. I just proved it right here. So I can go ahead and eliminate that answer choice. But then if I look down a couple choices, it gives me 16. If you look at your list of multiples, we've gone from 6 to 12 to 18. We skipped right over 16. 16 is not a multiple of 6 because you can't do 6 times anything to get it. So if we're looking for the number that's not a multiple of 6, that answer would be 16. Now, I could keep going. If I wanted to know the next multiple of 6, again, I could go 6 times 4, or I can count by 6s. My next multiple would be 24. And I would go on and on and on and on. The reason why I'll say it every day for the rest of the year, multiplication makes everything easier. Once you've got your facts down, you can look at these choices and say, okay, 18. Well, I know 6 times 3 gives me 18. That's a multiple, eliminated. 36. I know 6 times 6 gives me 36. That is a multiple. That's eliminated. 60. I know 6 times 10 gives me 60. That is a multiple. That's eliminated. You can't do 6 times anything to get 16. So that's why that would be that answer. So tomorrow, it may be saying multiples of, I don't know, 9. List them out if you have to. 9 times 1 gives me 9. Okay? To get the next one, 9 times 2 gives me 18. 9 times 3, 9 times 4. Those are all multiples. So when you hear the word multiple, just think multiply. And if you need to list them out, list them out. So that one's something you haven't learned yet this year, but that's a little preview of some of the stuff that's to come in the next week or so. All right, so that one would have been 16. Now, number 2 kind of goes with that. Factors and multiples, they're almost the opposite of each other. Number 2 says, which of the following numbers is not a factor of 28? So factors are the numbers that you can multiply to get a number, to get a product. So factors for 28, I'm getting close. I would have to do something times something to get 28. This again is where, if you know your multiplication, this is going to be so much easier for you to solve. You got to look at your answer choices and think if you can multiply those numbers to get 28. So if I'm looking at number 1, which I will clear all this out, maybe. All right. First answer choice is 2. 2 times something to give me 28. If you know your facts, or if you know a couple of hints, you will know that 2 is a factor. Look at number 28. It's an even number. Anytime you have an even number, 2 will always be a factor. 2 times something will always give you a number that if your product is even. And really, if you had to, you could skip count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way till you get to 28. But if you did that, 2 times 14 could give you 28. So 2 is a factor. Again, you might have to list some things out because once you get to answer choice B, 4 times something to give me 28. If you don't know, you might have to list your multiples, which we just talked about, of 4. Can I multiply 4 times something to get 28? So you might have to list 4 times 1, 4. 4 times 2, 8. 4 times 3, 12. So by listing my multiples, if I land on 28, I'll know that 4 is a factor. I know that I can multiply 4 times something to get 28. 4 times 4, 16. And again, I'm just counting by 4s here. 4 times 5, 20. 4 times 6, 24. 4 times 7, 28. So I could have done 2 times 14 to get 28. That's eliminated. I just saw that I could do 4 times 7 to get 28. So those are both factors. That's also eliminated. So by listing my multiples, I was able to figure that out. Next, I'm going to look at 7. And if you don't know your facts, you can list your multiples. But we just figured out that 4 times 7 gave us 28. 7 is a factor because I can multiply 7 times something to get 28. And then you come to 12. Now, even though we've eliminated all our answer choices and we feel pretty good about 12 being the only possible choice, we would still check it. Can 12 times something give me 28? If you don't know, list your multiples. Count by 12s. 12 times 1 gives me 12. 12 times 2 gives me 24. 12 times 3 gives me 36. By listing the multiples of 12, I can see that I did not land on 28, so 12 is not a factor of 28. So I can't multiply 12 times anything to get 28. That would be my answer choice. So 1 and 2 are really going to go together all week. And honestly, this might confuse you for the next 2 days, but hearing it in these videos for the next couple of days, I promise you is going to help. Again, multiples. That's if I'm just kind of skip counting by that number. And then the factors, if I can multiply this number to get a product. I'm throwing a lot at you. I understand that, but just watch how much easier it gets with the more practice we get. Promise you. All right. Number 3. All right, it says Cam has 4 trophies. Andrew has 3 times as many trophies as Cam. How many trophies do they have combined? So I'm actually going to show you this week a couple of different ways that you can solve this one. And I'll say it a lot this year. It's not my way or the highway. If you've got a way that you're more comfortable doing, go for it, especially if you're getting the right answers. Now, if you're struggling and you don't know where to really go with a question like this, this is where you can kind of say, okay, let me see how he's doing it. Maybe I can give that a shot. So a lot of the times, anytime I'm dealing with 2 people or two weeks or 2 groups, anything more than one, I like to make charts. I'm a pretty visual person. So if I've got Cam and Andrew, I can just do a chart like this. Here's Cam. Here's Andrew. And then I can just kind of take the information from the question and plug it into the chart. If it says Cam has 4 trophies, I can just put 4 right there. And if it says Andrew has 3 times as many trophies as Cam, I know 3 times looks like this. Okay. Now, 3 times as many as Cam means I got to do 3 times whatever he has over here. So that would mean I'd have to do 3 times 4. So I could figure out how many trophies Andrew has by doing that math. And if you know your facts, 3 times 4 gives me 12. So I'm afraid that a lot of people, and I'm filming these videos before, so I haven't seen the data. I'm thinking a lot of people might just choose 12 as the answer choice. But y'all, I'm not really worried about the math on number 3. I'm worried about the reading. You've got to read this question. It says how many do they have combined? So you still had to figure out how many Andrew has, because you're going to use that number and that number to figure out what they have combined by adding them together. So I'll go 12 plus 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, bring down the 1, that should have been 16. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to trick you on that question this week, because in the middle of the week, it might change a little bit. Make sure you read it. Just because you solved it one way on Monday doesn't mean it's going to be the same on Wednesday or Thursday. Make sure you're reading that question. All right, that was number 3? Moving on to number 4. Again, this is some vocabulary that you may not have heard before. And it might sound foreign to you for the next couple of days. These videos will help. Keep watching, keep practicing, it will get better. It says, which of the following numbers is prime? All right, in order for a number to be prime, that means it can only have 2 factors. Now, we just talked about factors. Remember, factors are the numbers that you can multiply to get that product. So if I was doing 7 times 4 equals 28, 7 and 4 are factors of 28 because I can multiply them to get that product. So a prime number only has 2 factors, and those factors are 1 and the number itself. So the only things you can multiply to get that number are 1 and that number itself. So if I'm looking at 8, okay, I know I can do 1 times 8. But I also know I can do 2 times 4 to get 8. That has 4 factors. 1, 2, 3, 4. That number cannot be prime because it has more than those 2 factors. That's something that we call composite. And we'll get to that later, but we're only focused on prime numbers right now. 8 is not a prime number because it has more than those 2 factors. Now, if I'm looking at 11, I know I can do 11 times 1 to get 11, and that's it. So there's nothing else I can multiply to get 11. If you look at that, the only 2 factors it has are the number itself and 1. That makes 11 prime, which is the answer. We'll still look at C and D because we'll prove it. I'm going to circle that again. So 15, I know I can do 15 times 1. supposed to be an equal sign, but I can also do 5 times 3 to get 15. That has more than 2 factors. It's not prime, it's composite. And last but not least, we've got the number 12. I can do 12 times 1, but I can also do 6 times 2, and I can also do 4 times 3. That has more than 2 factors. That's a composite number. And remember, a prime number, 2 factors, 1, and itself. So that answer would be 11. And we'll be looking for prime numbers all week long. So again, multiplication is going to make this so much easier for you if you know your facts. Super important. Hopefully you're studying. Last but not least, you guys have been adding for a long time. Maybe not with numbers this big, but it shouldn't matter. If you can add a 2-digit number, you can add a 15-digit number. It's all about taking your time, making sure everything is lined up, carrying the numbers over, and not rushing. Just because it's just addition doesn't mean you can fly through it. You also got to be careful once you get your answer when you're choosing your answer choices, because just looking at those, they all look very similar to me. Got to slow down, make sure you're choosing the right answer. So make sure all your place values lined up. The ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, everything's good. And we'll start in the ones place. 5 plus 3 is 8. Boom. 4 plus 3 is 7. Boom. 5 plus 3 is 8. Bring down that comma. 4 plus 3 is 7. And then 2 plus 3 is 5. Now, there's no regrouping there. Nothing to carry over. That was smooth sailing. That's going to change, okay? It's going to get a little bit more difficult, so just keep that in mind. If you read that number, it says 57,878. Look at these choices carefully. 57,878. That would give me C. I'm expecting that one to be super good today. But yeah, I do think it'll get a little bit more challenging as the week goes on. So I want to do a quick little recap real quick. And again, you've got this video to watch, pause, rewind, do whatever you need to do with it. And honestly, it might not be a bad idea to watch this again tomorrow morning before you do Tuesday's Fan 5, like a little refresher. So multiples, if I'm trying to list their multiples, you're skip counting by that number. Okay, if it's talking sixes, 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4, all those numbers you land on are multiples of 6. When we're talking factors, that means you can take that number and you can multiply it to get that product. So factors of 28, meaning I can take a number, I can multiply it times something to give me 28. And then with prime, it only has 2 of those factors, and those factors are 1 and then that number itself. So I don't want you to be bummed out if your scores are not maybe what you expect on a Monday. Ooh, it just started pouring. Nice. Because we had a lot of success in Fan 5 last week. I mean, we did really, really well. It's going to change. So it's going to get harder. It's going to be more of a challenge. But it's all about whether or not you face that challenge and try to improve, or if you let it defeat you. You got to have some mental toughness when it comes to this Fantastic 5. So whatever you got today, try to beat it. Keep chipping away. By the time we get to Friday, our goal is going to be to see if we can get a 5. So thank you guys for watching. Holler at me if you need anything, email, Zoom. You know I'm here. So good luck with everything you got going on today, and we will see you tomorrow.